Most of us travel in a sea of humanity in our daily lives. Crowded sidewalks, crowded elevators, crowded neighborhoods, and endless hours in crowded traffic. In this sea of humanity, 1 out of every 3 people has been or will be diagnosed with cancer. The chance for survival for 5 years or for the rest of their lives depends to a certain extent on their inner strength and optimism to believe that they will be a cancer survivor. The human spirit and the will to live is a powerful force. Cancer Survivors Parks celebrate this powerful force. They are peaceful, forgiving islands in a busy world. Sanctuaries for those who are newly diagnosed with cancer to go to for inspiration and courage. They are islands of peace in a sea of stress for cancer survivors who continue to come to proclaim their personal victories 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year at a time. There are appropriate monuments to the dead, and they are needed to express our collective grief. Cancer Survivors Parks are monuments to the living, and they are needed to express our collective joy.
My name is Tanya Samples. I am almost 15 years old. I live in Riverside, Missouri. It's a suburb of Kansas City. I have been a cancer survivor for 12 years. My folks told me it was 1983, and I was diagnosed, so I was 2 years old. Sometimes I wouldn't eat. I felt very sick. I was bruising very easily. So they took me to the doctors and take blood tests and to find out what was wrong with me, and come to find that I had cancer. It was leukemia, cancer in the bloodstream. They told my mom and dad first, and I kind of could sense something in the room that wasn't right, and I spoke up and said something like, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna die." I wasn't really scared until the treatment started. We had spinal taps, IVs, staying in the hospital, and it was like away from home, away from school, and away from friends. I don't know if I handled it better or worse than my family, but I know I hung in there, and I'm here today. This park is making a statement that there are kids out there with cancer, and with your support and prayers, that they can fight it, and that there are survivors also, and that you can come here and by just looking at the park and noticing that it's here, that you are helping in a way, and not just going on your busy lives and just forgetting that there is a disease out there that's cancer and killing kids. I think it's very nice if they would put more cancer survivor parks in other cities for more people to come to them and realize such a concern does exist, and for them just to come and see how pretty the parks are.
I'm Tom LaFoon. I live in Belton, Missouri. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in 1990. Which I am a survivor of over 6 years. I am presently 74 years of age. After surgery, the doctor told me that he thought that he had gotten all the cancer, and that there was a good 85% chance that it would never come back. I started taking a blood test, and every 3 months after the surgery, and each time after the surgery, every 3 months my PSA was 0, which is outstanding for someone that doesn't have cancer. I think that it's a peaceful, this park is a peaceful setting here in Kansas City for the people of the city to come and to know that there are cancer survivors. For instance, this morning I have seen people come through the park, and also little children. And I think this is a wonderful thing for the city and also for the people that have survived cancer. I think that the statement that the parks make, and especially this one, that there are survivors of cancer. And this is the main thing to get out to the people of Kansas City and to other areas of the United States, that people do survive that terrible word cancer, and there is a life after cancer. Well, I think the people of smaller towns are deserving of parks to have the celebration of life and place to come to and to be calm and peaceful and know that there is people that have survived cancer.
My name is Rosemary Sill. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and I had lung cancer 11 years ago. The doctors took the center section of my right lung out, and I have been cancer-free ever since. I tell people about cancer because I realize what a devastating thing it can be when you're told you have cancer. I think hope and optimism is what patients who are newly diagnosed need to hear, and that's what I try to help them with, and I thank God for the opportunity. The Cancer Survivor Park makes me feel how really lucky I am. It's an optimistic place that every cancer survivor or person with cancer should come and visit. It's a very rewarding experience. The park is a very quiet place to come visit. It has the positive mental attitude walk, where there are messages on several posts, very positive messages that help cancer patients, their families, and cancer survivors. Also, at the south end of the park, we have a group of statues where we celebrate life after cancer. And that is also very rewarding. It's a very positive, optimistic place to visit. I think it would be wonderful if other cities throughout the nation had the same park where people could go and relax and read about cancer and have the feeling of quietness that they need and serenity and optimism that they need when they have cancer.
I'm Dr. Carl Hansen, and I practice oncology in Kansas City. I've been here for about 25 years, and I practice across a wide spectrum of medical oncology patients. One of the hardest jobs that we have to do is to tell a patient about their diagnosis of cancer. Very often, in my case, the patient has had some explanation beforehand that that is likely to be the diagnosis. And then I can tell them, and immediately after I tell them, I let them know that there's some kind of treatment out there for them. I give them some options right away. I believe that the Cancer Survivor Parks are a tangible symbol that there are a lot of people out there who have won the battle against cancer, and I think that reinforces our new cancer patients' belief that they too can survive and beat the disease. I think the parks are the visible evidence that people need to give them reassurance that there is a solid chance that they are going to be here as well as the park for many years to come. Other than the medicines and the surgery that we use, patients have a lot to contend with when they have cancer, and their support system is made up of many factors. Venues like this which show them that it's possible, their family support, and the support of their community toward cure are all very helpful to patients. I think other parks in other cities do exist. They're few in number. I've been in a couple of them, but I'd like to see more of them.
Annette and I were walking down the beach some 10 years after I was cured of terminal lung cancer, talking about what a wonderful success National Cancer Survivors Day was that we had started a few years before, and how much good it did for so many people. We were trying to figure out how we could spread the wonderful work it does to year-round instead of just having it once a year. So we got the idea of building a park with a big sign that said Cancer Survivors Park, so people who have no interest could pass by every day and absorb the fact that death and cancer are not necessarily synonymous. these plaques. A kid says, I'm only alive because I had my father photograph those plaques and I put them in my hospital room and I would read them every single day. When we see people standing here hugging a sculpture, I've never seen a person hug a sculpture before this park. We know the strength they're getting out of it. If this park did nothing else but improve the quality of a person's life, that's enough. But we do believe it actually saves a few lives every year. Other people deserve this in smaller towns, in towns of 15,000, in towns of 50,000, in towns of 200,000. They deserve a Cancer Survivors Park. And it is a win-win situation. It's such a wonderful thing. I've never seen anyone who is opposed to it once they understand what it's all about. It is not a memorial to the dead. As far as to our knowledge, it is the only park that is a tribute to the living.
I'm Frankie Grady. I live in Kansas City, Kansas, and I've been a cancer survivor for almost 7 years now. I'm a survivor of kidney cancer. Initially upon diagnosis and after getting out of the hospital and after finding out I was cancer-free, my first impulse was to go around and almost say, "Hi, Frankie Grady, cancer survivor. Hi, Frankie Grady, cancer survivor." Fortunately, that's mellowed a little bit over the years. I'm actually still very proud of being a cancer survivor. I love Cancer Survivors Parks. They're living memorials. Well, they're living memorials to the living, to those who have survived cancer. And I like parks, and I like outdoors, and they house our cancer survivor rallies. I love them. This park makes a very clear statement that not only is it possible to survive cancer, but it is possible to survive it with a quality lifestyle. And the statement it makes about me, my life is better now than it was before I had cancer. Cancer transformed me. I wouldn't have made the decision to have it, but it happened. And I discovered that when you fight it, when you connect with other people who have had cancer, and when you reach out to try to communicate with people to raise the awareness, your life is better. I would love to see cancer survivors parks in other cities. I would like to know that people all over the United States who are newly diagnosed with cancer have the same opportunities I did, that they can look at the parks and be inspired. They can know that they have a good chance of beating the disease, and they'll have hope to fight their cancer.
Over 10 million cancer survivors are living in the United States today. There's a growing opportunity to create cancer survivors parks in cities and towns across America, not only for them, but for those in the years to come. These cancer survivors parks can be created in the name of a caring individual, a group of individuals, a hospital, physician organizations, nursing organizations, cancer caregiver organizations, foundations, and civic leaders. If the prospect of creating a cancer survivors park sounds like an adventure worth taking, there's information as to how this can be done physically and financially. Cancer Survivors Parks. You can help create a monument to celebrate our collective joy.